as members of the Trump rally-goers continue to make their way up to the Capitol in this protest. Bret Baier, I believe you're still there. It is interesting that what the gentleman from Tampa just told Griff Jenkins. He came to the Capitol because the president said something big was going to happen, and they're just finding out that Mike Pence is going to certify the electoral results. And I'm sure that would be a big disappointment to a lot of people that came for this rally.
Yeah, we should say that, you know, as we're saying it's peaceful, we're seeing the images on the outside. We are having a couple of reports of people being injured in this breach of the security, and that there may be a Capitol Hill police officer. We're getting confirmation of that. But protesters, Dana, have made their way inside the Capitol, and you're seeing the police presence increase on the outside. But there are people inside the actual Capitol building, just outside the Senate chamber, and both the House and Senate have now adjourned or paused this entire process because of the security concerns. U.S. Capitol Police is inside the chamber, and the lawmakers are told to shelter in place. They're now setting up a perimeter, we're told, around the Capitol. But you see the steps there on the top. There are all those folks in there. There are people who have made their way into the building itself. Now, in this environment, Chad can tell you, it is usually very, very secure and intensely secure. You have to question where all that security is, but the protesters have gone through on both sides of the Capitol into the Capitol itself, and that's a good shot of the steps on the east side.
Mm-hmm. To echo Martha's observation, this is remarkable. These images have not been seen in my lifetime, that's for sure. Chad Pergram has an update for us now. Chad, what's new?
Well, as Bret alluded to, and we just got notification here from the Capitol Police that there is a threat inside. You know, I could watch the House floor and I could see some of the floor staff running. You just don't see that inside the House chamber, indicating that there was a concern about the threat inside the building. The House and Senate, both within a couple of moments ago, recessed subject to the call of the chair. So they have, you know, suspended the joint session, and then the independent separate sessions where they debate the electoral slate of votes from Arizona have been suspended as well. They would only do this in the most extreme of circumstances. You know, we've had some instances here on Capitol Hill before. A couple of years ago when the president was here, there was an interloper who got into the building, was using an inappropriate pass, had come in through the Rayburn House office building inside, got into the Capitol through the underground tunnels and was there with the press corps when the president of the United States was here. There was another person back when they were building the Capitol Visitor Center in 2006 who crashed their car into the construction area and ran up the steps and ran into the Capitol. I should note now that the House of Representatives has just come back into session. Jim McGovern, Democrat from Massachusetts, is presiding, and they will resume with the Electoral Count Act here, or the certification of the Electoral College and the dispute over Arizona. What I was going to say earlier, and this is what is so remarkable about what's going on outside. During the inauguration of President Obama, there was one fellow who got in kind of past where he needed to be and climbed up a tree and was there and yelling during the entire inauguration ceremony. And they continued. The U.S. Capitol Police made a decision it was going to cause more of a disruption to get him out of that tree, whether or not to leave them up there. So sometimes they do give people a little bit of deference. But what you had here is people surging up from the mall side of the Capitol, getting right close to the building. Really, since 9/11, they have had that perimeter around the west front of the Capitol closed off for years now. You just can't get that close to the Capitol. Certainly during some protests a few years ago, you had some people come in and do a little bit of graffiti on the building, but that was pretty minor. This is something different. You know, back in March, you had a fellow on the House side who scaled the side of the building, got up onto a balcony. This is on the House side, not far from the House chamber and where a statuary hall is, kind of the area between the old House chamber and the current House chamber, and actually broke a window. He never actually got into the building, but was on this exterior balcony, kind of went up the wall like Spider-Man. So, you know, to have, you know, it's one thing to have one person do that. It's another thing to have another surge of people do this as well. You know, and I was asking Capitol security officials for days whether or not they were concerned about things here, and the thing that kept coming back to me was the issue of a lone wolf. They really didn't seem to be too concerned about the overall, you know, size of crowds. They deal with crowds here on a regular basis, but if you have someone who has gotten into the building, or if there is a threat inside the building, maybe there's a device or something like that. You know, back in the 1980s, there was a bomb which exploded just outside the Senate chamber. No one was injured. It was late at night. So they have had those instances here at the Capitol, Dana.
All right, Chad, thank you so much.